Ken Morgan, and thanks so very much. And hi, everybody. I'm Dave Little, and this is In the Sulky. My guest tonight is Montrell Teague, the Dover Downs regular who has made the trip up north tonight on some pretty lousy weather. Montrell, thanks for making the trip.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
How was the trip up? Was it, pretty sketchy out there on the turnpike?
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of rain going to exit 10, and then it's turned into snow, so we had to slow down a little bit.
How often do you make it up here to the Meadowlands? We don't see you nearly enough.
Mainly when Dad or Brenda put something in, I'll have my name on the sheet, and then I'll come up for them and hopefully grab a couple more.
All right, well, Montrell, tonight, race 1 is the Dr. Martin Luther King Remembrance Race, and it is a race that features all African-American drivers. Why was it important to you to be a part of tonight's race?
Just to get my name out there, just to get my face out there, and be one of the role models for young black kids that actually want to get into the sport. And, I mean, I'm honored just to be here and be able to be in this race.
Now, you're 29 years of age. You just turned 29. I'm exactly double your age. And when I was a little kid, we heard about Dr. King and, of course, his assassination in 1968. But when you were a kid in school, was there a lot taught about Dr. King and what he did for the African-American movement? Yeah,
definitely. He was like the number one person that was actually talked about. And whenever we had to write a report, he was the number one person that you went to. I know I did my report on him, and he made a huge difference in my life with the civil rights movement and ending segregation. And frankly, I probably wouldn't be here if he didn't.
You know, you did tell me that the other day, that if it weren't for Dr. King, you wouldn't be here. And that really struck me. Why do you think that is? Because after all, you're only 29 years of age, and Dr. King was big. He was sending his message out more than 50 years ago.
Well, yeah, I'm biracial, so my dad's black and mom's white. That was frowned upon back then. And without Dr. Martin Luther King, they would have never got together, and I would have never been here.
Talk about your dad. He grew up, you told me the other day, in Virginia, and your granddad. You're lucky enough and young enough to not have experienced some of the racism that they experienced down in the South back maybe 50, 60 years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about your dad's remembrances of that?
Yeah, he talks about it ever so often, not much, but he said he still does remember when they had the split water fountains with black and white, and then his dad would have to actually drive around in his truck with a shotgun just to keep himself safe, him and his family.
Boy, that is really crazy stuff. It's stuff that, people like me just cannot, conceive of. And that really is just a terrible thing. So hopefully things continue to improve along the racial lines in this country. But right now, racial relations really aren't where we want them to be, are they?
No, not at all. But, I do see it that it's going in the right direction. I mean, you do see biracial couples that are actually getting together. Everybody's more open-minded than they actually were back then, and I do see changes coming, hopefully.
Before we get to some fun stuff, how do you see the future in terms of you folks are here tonight racing in the Martin Luther King Remembrance Race. How do we get more youth African-Americans involved in the game?
That's a tough question. I mean, I know that the harness race and youth camp is actually given a chance to the young people of all different races a chance to actually get into the sport, but usually you only see like the drivers and owners and trainers that are already in it, their kids going into it, instead of reaching out to people that actually have no idea that this sport exists.
Yeah, hopefully, you and I were talking before we went on camera, hopefully some of the organizations, maybe the Harness Horse Youth Foundation, some of those types of folks can get some of the African-American school kids out to the track, because once you do, everybody falls in love with the horses.
Yeah, definitely do. I know I did the harness race and youth camp, and it taught me a lot, and I fell in love right when they put me behind the gate with Dad sitting right next to me, and won my first race with him. So once you get that urge to go out there on the track and you do it, you're hooked.
All right, now, you had an awful lot of success at an early age. In fact, I did some research the other day. At 19 years of age, you won 92 races and had $1.3 million in earnings. And then a couple years later, you drove a little horse by the name of Wiggle-It Jiggle-It. Why don't we take a look at Wiggle-It Jiggle-It on another bad night of weather, winning the Graduate in 2016. What are you thinking right here?
It was just a remembrance race for Ben Stafford. He actually got bit by a very, very rare tick, and he died. So Dad had a bright idea to get the blue stuffed things that you put on the harness, and that was in remembrance of him. And then we auctioned it off to go to his family.
Now, what about some things that Wiggle-It Jiggle-It accomplished in his career? First and foremost, he was the 2015 Harness Horse of the Year, and over a 2-year stand, he went 37 for 50 and earned over $3.9 million. Talk about a real Iron Man.
Yeah.
Or Iron Horse.
Yeah, he is definitely Iron Horse. He's tough. I mean, I definitely got blessed to actually come at the right come at the right time, and actually be able to drive one of the best horses in harness racing history.
And, of course, he took the 2015 Meadowlands Pace and the Little Brown Jug. Now, you and your dad and Clyde have brought Wiggly Jiggly back this year. Dave Brower and I saw him win about 2 weeks ago from just off the pace. The day before, not so much.
Yeah, he did come up sick. We got him scoped. We knew something was going to be off after how he raced. But 2 weeks ago, it was on my birthday, actually. So that was the best birthday present I can actually wish for.
Is he still, I'm sure he's not a 46 pacer, but is he still a 49 pacer?
I wouldn't rule that horse out of any race. I mean, yeah, he's definitely 49, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 48. He's just that special.
Well, 49 and 48, that sounds like fast miles. But I got another horse that you drove who went a lot faster than that. Let's talk about Lather Up. Earlier this year, July the 6th, once again, we're talking about the Graduate, and we're talking about rocking the clock.
Yeah, Lather Up. That was late in the night. It was like the second to last race. You would never expect to go 46 flat in that kind of condition. You always think of Lexington or just better weather. But it was a little bit chilly, not too bad. And going to 46, seeing that clock like wind down like that, it was unbelievable. I wasn't expecting it.
Now, when he won his 4 races in a row, the Graduate, the Houghton, the McKee, and the Dan Patch, he earned over $600,000. And yet, at the end of the year, you just missed in terms of older male pacer to McWicked. What did you think about the outcome of the vote?
I was pretty surprised the way that he. He didn't go through all the way throughout the year, which was expected. But the show that he put on for the fans with 46, and then that was a world's record. And the mile and 1/8, he actually put on another world's record that was unbelievable. And then he beat McWicked 5 out of 6 times probably. Whenever I think McWicked only beat him once when he run.
Had Lather Up raced in the TVG, maybe that would have put him over the top. But did an injury, get in the way of that?
Yeah, it was definitely an injury, and as good as he was with us, he had a strained tendon, and we weren't going to put him on track if he wasn't 100%.
All right, now let's talk about a little bit of handicapping before we let you go. Race 1 tonight on the pace, $7,500 claimers, the Dr. Martin Luther King Remembrance Race. You have Kid BK from the 5-hole, and I picked you on top, so you better win. What do you think about your chances there?
I think I have a pretty good chance. It's just same situation I do every time. You got to look both ways, see what they're going to do on the inside and outside of you, and if they're leaving, I'm just going to have the best strategy pretty much. And I'm kind of used to this horse because I actually drove him at Dover Downs for Tim Chrisman and Patty Chrisman.
Do you draw any conclusions about a horse like Walks of Life, who's obviously sharp right now? Are you going into the race thinking, let me sit a 2-hole behind that one, or if the pace dictates, you'll go around that one?
You know what? 2-hole sounds very, very good right now, but you can say that now, but everything changes out there. You have no idea what they're going to do. You got 9 other people in there, and I'm only one. So I have a strategy going in, but they have theirs too. All
right, well, there you have it. Montrell Teague, who won this race 2 years ago with Windsong Gorgeous as the 3-5 favorite. A lot of pressure on you tonight. I think Kid BK could end up the post-time chalk when the gate swings open.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, well, there you have it. So much, Montrell Teague. Thanks so much for joining us on a lousy night of racing, lousy night of weather. Hopefully the racing is going to be fantastic. We have rain out there now, so maybe the snow is going to start to go away, and hopefully you'll have a safe trip home back to Delaware.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Montrell Teague's been our guest tonight. That's in the Sulky. Montrell's going to get to work now. Dave Brower's going to jump in that chair, and we'll talk about tonight's featured action and give out some best bets and value plays. We'll be back in 60 seconds.